produced theatrical productions all over Europe, owned a castle in Ireland. And so Grace was rubbing shoulders with some new and different people. And we showed up at the National Arts Club, and the second floor was there was a conference room there that had been set up with an easel on which, on each easel, there was the photograph of each one of the women who are featured in this book. And Grace couldn't find her photograph. She was not a happy camper. And I said, Grace, I said, if you look up at the screen here, this 12-foot by 12-foot screen, who is that? And there she was, as the cover girl, smattered on the front. She said, oh, well, that will do just fine. Well, we sat, and everyone was introduced. And Grace was dressed with, obviously, the perennial stylish hat, and I think a red coat. Did she have a red winter coat? It seemed to me it was a red winter coat. And she was introduced, and I said, Grace, stand up, stand up. So I was sitting next to her, and she stood up. And she turned from side to side to side and allowed her presence to beam on everyone. She was classic. I could see her on the Oprah show. And the applause died, and everyone sat down except Grace. So I had to tug on Grace's coat and say, Grace, it's time to sit down. But she certainly enjoyed that little piece of celebrity. But time moves on. And I have here a couple of poems that I put together to kind of express my feelings about Grace. I'm not sure I have enough for all of you, but I will pass these around. Thank you, Mary. As Mary's passing this around, I will tell you that the Shakespearean sonnet, which is a 14-line poem with an ending rhyming couplet, to me is a perfect format for this kind of tribute. And I'd like to read this to you. When memories of our past come close to mind, and our hearts embrace those we hold most dear, beloved Grace appears, her spirit true and kind, with warming smile, her eyes bright blue and clear. Then carefree moments, joy and mirth framed our lives, and Grace's gifts were there for sharing. Her home was ours, her kindness uncontrived, her warmth sincere, her heart most caring. Time's taken our dear Grace to a better place than this. She's in a field of flowers, a piano playing grand. She's dancing now and blowing us a kiss. She's seeing, hearing, walking along a golden strand. Grace showered us with unselfish love and care. Earth's pain endured, now boundless joy she'll share. And I'll leave the other one for you to enjoy at your leisure, if you enjoy poetry. I would like to learn more about Grace, and if there are any of you who would like to come and take the mic or just stand where you are and tell us of any special tribute or experience that you had with Grace. We're not going to allow Eleanor to sing hers. She can talk it. Please do so. Oh, come on. She made all of us laugh at one time or another. Mary has something to say.
I know a lot of funny things about Grace, but there's one thing that just touched me so much. My dad had some problems at the end of his life with his memory and such, and I would take him out riding almost every Friday afternoon. And one time we stopped off to see Grace. And as she welcomed everyone, oh, come on in, it's wonderful, I'm so glad you're here. Didn't matter, you could be there, you're going to have a one-on-one with Grace and 10 other people would show up. But anyway, she greeted Dad, and they were old friends from Easton. He'd been the police chief. And this particular day, she always had a cake, of course, and Dad loved cake, so she sat him down with a big piece of cake. And would you like some ice cream with that, Oscar? Well, of course, I would like some ice cream. So he starts to eat his cake and ice cream, and he's a little upset because he's chipped a tooth. And he said, I don't know, this is bothering me, this tooth and everything. And she looked him square in the face. She took his face in her hand, and she said, but you're still the most handsome man in Easton. It was the best gift she could have given. He beamed. He was so thrilled. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Who's next? I'm sure we could publish a book about Grace if we all sat down and took a little time to. This gentleman's coming up. Yes. A family member.
I'm Ray. I'm Stanley's oldest son, and I'm Grace's nephew. And I didn't really get to meet Grace till late, maybe 10 years ago. And we started having a Nichols family meeting up in Hartford, which we were from West Hartford. She'd come up, and she'd be the star of the show. She had all of the family history. She had all of the. She was a great speaker. She was really funny. And she met my wife and my daughters, and all the Nichols that came up, and we'd have 50 people up there. And it was just great to meet her again. And then I'd come down here, and sometimes I'd take her out. We went down to the cemetery and around, and it was a real joy at the end of her life to get to meet her. And I got a lot of family history out of that, which is something I'm very, it's my hobby. So I will miss her. And I know, I met some great people, and I know Winnie Kent is here. Winnie Kent? Oh, she just left, so I was going to say hello to her before she left, because I know that was her era. But as I said, I missed her, and I miss her, and I wish that she was still here, and because there's a lot of stories that I missed throughout my life that she was filling in, and she was really happy of my wife and my kids. A lot more, I'd pick on my wife. I'm like the Henny Youngman. My wife takes the brunt of all my jokes, and she would turn around and say, "Oh, Raymond, that's not true at all." But again, I think I miss her.
Thank you, Ray. Heartfelt. Who's next? Eleanor. You're not singing. Oh, was that what it was? Oh, I see.
I know everybody enjoyed my song. But anyway, I'm Aunt Grace's niece. And Raymond is my older brother now. He used to be my younger brother. He's older now. But Aunt Grace, I could tell you a million stories about Aunt Grace, and I've known her all my life. I used to go spend time with her. When I was about 12 years old, I stayed down at her house in Westport, but I would go visit her all the time. She would call me up to come over. She was so funny. But, in her later years, she had macular degeneration. And I would say to her, well, when you look at me, Aunt Grace, and you're always telling me how beautiful I am. And I said to her, well, how much of me can you see? And she says, I can see the outline of your face. Oh, she could hear her. Oh, yeah. Huh? No. But anyway, I didn't want to, send her to an early grave. But she said to me one day, let's go to the store. I'll drive. I said, okay. Yeah. So we got in the car, and we were driving up the road at 2 miles an hour. And I said, Aunt Grace, you have macular degeneration. If you can't see my face except the circle around it, how can you see where you're driving? And she says to me, I see the side of the road. And when the light if the light is red, you know, there'd be a car stopped in front of me. I'll stop if there's no car there. I just keep going. And so she drove me to the store, and she drove me home again. She couldn't see. She was something else. And what a sense of humor. She was so funny. And that's the end of my story. I mean, I could tell you a million of them. But...
Grace was at our daughter's wedding, which was in Old Saybrook. When was that, huh? 96. And she, at that time, I think was the oldest person there, but I danced with Grace. And that was so cool. It really was. She was a good dancer, and she always spoke of her travels. I guess she and Joe, right, did a lot of traveling, and she really treasured that. But the trip that she's taken recently is the best one of her life, and she's at a destination that I'm sure will suit her perfectly. Any other stories? All right, well, you know, she would be very, very disappointed if you didn't get into that spice cake. Because that was the hallmark of a visit to Grace's, was it not? Well, do you want me to read the second thing? Do you feel ready to tear again? Is that it? I will read the second poem, which some of you will have in front of you, and you're welcome to take these home. This is entitled The Eyes of Grace. The eyes of Grace shone china blue, saw most we missed, saw what was true. They took us in, those eyes of blue. We trusted her, she cared, we knew. They lit her home with joy and care. They gave us all her love to share. Now Grace is gone from where we stand. She's taken flight to God's homeland. The eyes of Grace, now ever bright, reflect God's hope and love and light. Bless you, Grace. Well, if there are no more willing participants, when do we have the three-legged run? Is that... I guess we're not doing that today. Susan, did you want to say anything?
No, I just changed your position. No.
No. Okay. Oh, you're just changing the music. Okay. Yeah, pick the tempo up. Huh? Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being here. And Susan, thank you for asking me to attend. And I know that all of us will have Grace in our prayers.